You know those thoughts that can loop through your mind, throwing you off of a positive mindset that can really hinder your growth in all areas of your life? Well, meditation can help you develop a positive mindset and so much more. And today in the Waist Up Wardrobe studio, I'll be interviewing a mindfulness expert, an educator who's going to be taking us down a journey of how meditation can elevate your mindset and help you develop a positive and productive one. But you know the drill. If you want to go through this journey with us, you're going to have to stick around to join in. Welcome to Waist Up Wardrobe. I'm Christine Vartanian, a civil engineer and attorney turned personal style expert and image consultant. As the founder of Jade for All Seasons, I am passionate about unveiling the inner confidence of my clients by developing their personal style. But is getting dressed up still important in our virtual world? Well, that's where my experience can help with what I call Waist Up Wardrobe. Waist Up Wardrobe is a podcast for all things you need to conduct an outstanding Zoom meeting. It's about how to dress for the camera, but it's not just about the clothes. It's about everything you need to know to show up on brand and professionally for the camera. Join me in the Waist Up Wardrobe studio to discuss how to navigate this virtual world and dominate from behind the desk. Welcome, Virtual Nation. Thank you for joining us for yet another episode of Waist Up Wardrobe. And we are working on a series of episodes called the Mindset Series, because your mind is definitely above the waist thought and idea, and something you have to get aligned with your brand and aligned with your personal self to be able to project the way you want people to see you, and how you are coming off on camera really translates in our virtual world, and how you connect and build the rapport with people, including into your mindset is something that really contributes to that. Today, we are taking the mindset series from different perspectives. On our first episode of this series, we really laid the foundation and we discussed the differences between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And I left you with a question of think about all the traits of a fixed mindset and those in comparison to that of a growth mindset, and see where you have work to do, see where you can grow more, because a growth mindset definitely contributes to positivity in your life. It also helps you reach your potential and really build those dreams and the vision that you have for your life in all different arenas, whether it's business or personal or your personal life. So the mindset that you have and that you develop is really key to staying in line with everything that you are, your goal, everything that's going to lead you to your goals. So this is why it really is a very robust topic. And that's why I want to approach it from so many different angles. So today in the Waist Up Wardrobe studio, I'm going to be interviewing a mindfulness expert and educator who really has done so much work, has written a book about how to really use mindfulness to elevate your life. And before I get started in introducing her and bragging a little bit about her, I want to say that remember that we are on iTunes. So subscribe to our iTunes channel, and we are also on YouTube. So you can subscribe to that as well if that's more convenient. And remember, you can reach me on Facebook or Instagram at Waist Up Wardrobe. So definitely connect with us, because there's so much to having a really dynamic and on point virtual room. It's more than meets the eye, and it makes such an impact in the way you come off on camera to your audience. So I'm going to brag a little bit about our expert today. Christy Curtis is an author, mindfulness educator, and meditation coach. She's a qualified mindfulness-based stress reduction teacher. She holds a certificate of training in mindfulness-based eating and is a certified yoga nidra teacher. She is a certified yoga instructor, teaches yoga mindfulness to high school students, educators, professional athletes, and working adults in workshops and trainings. Christy has been a public school educator since 2001. With an MA in Education Administration, with her guidance, she creates an opportunity to unlock personal doors to self-awareness, stress reduction, and healing through methods of mindfulness, self-care practices, and movement. Her book, Gratitude and Mindfulness Meditation Learning Journal for Social Emotional Development, is a tool to help students, teachers, and parents experience over 60 mindfulness gratitude lessons together. Oh my gosh, what a honor to have Christy Curtis here today. Welcome, Christy.
Hi, Christine. Thank you so much for having me on with you today.
I am so thrilled that you're here. I'm so looking forward to this episode. I feel like it is such a basic foundational introduction, how to really create and develop that mindset that will get you to your goals and help you develop a positive outlook, especially sometimes when we are in crisis or in challenging times, such as when we are, in the year 2020 dealing with a pandemic, but beyond that as well. So the first thing I would love to have you do for the audience is really, we hear about meditation all the time. And I know that your expertise goes well beyond meditation. I mean, there's so many layers to what you offer your students and educators and your audience. But can you define what meditation is and how, just a basic definition, because it's different from different perspectives?
Sure. Yeah. And with that, you hit the nail on the head with the different interpretations. And that's what meditation honestly allows. There's not one set fixed defining element about it, but it's a process. And ultimately this process of just creating a more heightened awareness of our own abilities to be present to the moments that we're in. There's a variety of methods on how to meditate. There's a how-to book for everything. But most importantly, it allows our attention and our perspective to move from this very narrowed funnel to a more broader perspective that allows us to observe more versus react, be on that reaction and that safe zone of protection that we're so accustomed to being, which is our built-in, human ancestral biology.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I usually like to start out by defining the topic that we're working on, especially from the perspective of each expert that comes on. Of course, there are universal thoughts and definitions to everything, but because meditation can seem nebulous to some people, although now, it is becoming more common practice for a lot, but it can seem nebulous, and it almost can sometimes seem unattainable. Some people say, I can't do that. I can't sit still. And I know that you're going to take us through some thoughts and ideas and tips of how to really start a practice, a meditative practice. But before we start there, and because we are talking about mindset, meditation is one of those key practices that can really help change and shift and develop a positive mindset. Would you agree with that? Or do you have an opinion on that?
Absolutely. And I think that because, mind, the word mindset, you can break it into a compound word, mind, and it's set. And meditation truly involves not just the processes of the mind. It's a contemplative based practice that's been going on for thousands of years. And it's psychological, it's science is behind it. As same thing with mindset. And so there's a direct linear connection with how one can influence the other. And I think it's if there is such thing as a happy marriage, this is definitely one that meditation can heavily influence. In my own personal experience, mindset and most importantly, help with making those pivots of shift that might feel a little bit troublesome and arduous and very challenging to make when you don't feel that you have the tools to.
Yeah, absolutely. I love how you broke down the word mindset. It makes it so clear about, it kind of defines what it's all about, right? You have your mindset to a certain ideas, and they're either fixed there or they're reset as you develop it into more positive thoughts. Or that was really good. I love that. I'll remember that for a long time.
Super. Yeah. Just keep
Yeah.
breaking it down. And that's what meditation helps us do. It helps us break down the layers. And, mindset, it's belief. It's our belief system, and whatever that might be. And if I could just rewind real fast back to the defining what meditation is, some things might help capture for the audience of what it's not. It's not religious by any means. And when I said contemplative, that's us. We ponder thoughts all the time. I mean, our brain, we're so lucky we get to. I mean, it's probably a double edge of how much we actually spend pondering and ruminating or planning and everything else. But we have this ability to, it's not a religious base. It enhances any type of spiritual faith or belief, if you will. Yeah. It's not relaxation, believe it or not. Some people, I'm just going to go meditate. Well, most people struggle to get to this meditation point. And just one last thing with what it's not a selfish act. It's not something that, I'm taking time away from my life to go and do. And and we'll go into obviously a bit more, but just to kind of help for the audience break it down of there are some things that it is, that as you use the word nebulous and uncertain, to concrete examples of what it definitely is not.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you're an educator because you defined it and then also defined the contrast, which makes things so clear. And that was really important because people do have those myths attached to what meditation is. So that was really brilliant. So, we've spoken a little bit about your method and your process, and you're able to succinctly really lay it out for me. And I would love the audience to get that from you. And that your process is based on 3 key concepts: awareness, attention, and attitude. And I'd really like to take each one separately and unpack each of those separately. But let's go ahead and get started with the overall idea of the 3 A's.
Yeah. So I think of that as like the big parachute, the overarching. And AAA, when we think of AAA, most of us can pull out our wallet and have a AAA card or have it on a speed dial like I do. And AAA, you call AAA for what? Car trouble? When things are going awry, your vehicle, you get a flat tire, you need help. We all need help. So this is the AAA, awareness, attention, and attitude, is more of a built-in system of acronyms that I've aligned to help people remember each of these things, to call upon your own AAA mechanism, your own self-help guide. You don't have to go anywhere for it. It's always available. It's free. You don't have to pay a membership for it. You just have to learn the tools, and learning awareness individually, what that's about, how to hone in on specific aspects of attention, and then what kind of attitude that you're developing to, in our teachings, it's in mindfulness trainings, they're called like attitudinal seeds, like it's the soil of it, or call it your mindset. How are you bringing all of this together? And that's how I'd like to code it, is that overarching effect, your own self-help system, and you have each one of them, whatever kind of tool belt, whenever and however you need it, it's always there to help support you.
Yeah, another hint that you are an educator, because you have a mnemonic to remember all of this by, and for people to really access it easily in their mind, right? What was I supposed to do first, and right. Just to think about that process and the steps. So let's take awareness separately. And sure. I really want to dig deep into awareness, and what does that mean or look like when you talk about the first key element of your process?
Yeah, and awareness, it's almost like meditation. It's kind of hard to define. And I was thinking about that today as we were getting ready for this. And one of the best ways I can describe it is that I'm getting ready. It's just real life. Here we go. I got a shower, wash my hair, and I'm, putting on mascara, which I don't often do now that we don't have to really go anywhere. And my mind is still like, I'm doing this process of putting mascara on and putting on my moisturizer and but my mind is somewhere else. Like I'm thinking about our conversation that we're going to have, and if I say the wrong thing, or oh my gosh, I go to go get my tea, my action is this, but I paused and I was aware of this ticker tape of my mind. That's awareness, even though I don't know if that example makes sense, but it's just something that you are able to expand awareness that we all have. It's a built-in concept. It's a built-in innate part of our human biology, neurobiology. It's awareness of our thoughts, how we feel, our emotions, our body sensations. So awareness encompasses a great basket of just different elements that are part of our existing human condition. Mm-hmm. And we use how we access awareness are through our, how are people right now able to be virtually with us? Well, they're seeing the screen with their eyes, perception, they're taking it in. They're listening to our voices. We have ears. This is how we become aware of things. They're sitting on their couch or in their car or wherever they might be listening to this. There might be some smells they experience in the room that they're in, or if they're getting ready for lunchtime, they might be waiting in line or smell something and all of a sudden now be hungry, and then touch. So we use our senses as a very base layer to access this gateway of how I can be aware.
Yeah. And I love that you said that, because that is how we do access the awareness, is through our senses, and because that's how we interact in the world. And now that we are in the virtual world, well, trying to connect with people, that communication and use our senses can be a little bit more complicated. But I imagine being aware that it's more complicated and be mindful of it could really help us bridge that gap and the rapport and really connect with people. But I was going to ask you something about awareness. So when you say awareness, it's self-awareness. You're referring to, not awareness of how somebody's feeling or thinking or acting. Is that true? Or I just want to get a clearer understanding of when you. Yeah, go ahead.
It's all parts, Christine.
Yeah.
It's this encompassing bubble of awareness, and it's our relationship to it, our relationship to our thoughts, our relationship to being aware of what somebody else is like. If you're driving down the road, and it's a big part of our just consciousness, we're consciously aware of the thoughts that are going through our mind, or the gripping of the steering wheel. It's who is doing the seeing, who is doing the listening, who is actually doing all that talking that's going up in there. Like the moment that there's that separation of, I'm aware of this. We have that ability to become aware of our inner world, what we're experiencing in here, our feelings, and then what's sensing outside, maybe what somebody might be feeling for their, aware of their own emotions, their body language, their moods. So it's this built-in human ability that we have to be present.
Yeah. So when you say, I'm going to go back to your example of you putting on your mascara and your mind was on, the top, our dialogue and what could happen and all that, are you saying that shouldn't be happening, so that you should refocus on just what you're doing? Or what, is there something, is that not good for you to do, not to be thinking about these things? Because the first thought that came to my mind was, that's like monkey mind. I've heard that term used. Or are you saying just to be mindful of it? I'm a little bit confused, and I want to clarify to the audience what is the right thing to do, in other words, if there is such a thing.
And that's where if there is such a thing.
Yeah.
Truly. And there's no thinking, and monkey mind is what I also consider normal, because we can't control our thoughts. Meditation is not here to stop thinking. That's what the brain's job. We need our brain to think and function as humans. That's what we get to do. Yeah. However, the fact that I noticed, when people have the skill to notice the ticker tape of not being present with what they're doing, that's mindful awareness. Okay. Like if I was really, truly paying attention in a way, I would be looking at each coat of mascara. I would be feeling the texture of the lotion. I'd be going slower. I would not to be like OCD like and super, super meticulous, but I would be paying more attention, probably a little bit more thoughtful. But just noticing that. Does that help kind of decipher and distinguish the two?
Yes, absolutely. The awareness piece is really noticing what's going on with you, not that it's happening. Not that it's happening passively. It's almost like you're connected with it. It's not just happening and you're not noticing that there's all those things going on. Does that sound right?
You're fully immersed.
Okay. Yes.
You're watching a scary movie and all the lights are out and it owns you. And it's just every part of you is so aware of the chills you have, the grip you have. And then all of a sudden someone turns on the lights and then the kids start screaming. And now your awareness scans. You're maybe not so attached and connected to the movie because now you're more aware of the other things going on. So we have this ability. I mean, awareness is it's a floating concept that we can. And that's where attention comes in, because now we then get to shift on how we can now focus our attention directly.
Yeah. So the awareness piece is really important to get started, would you say?
Absolutely. And I believe that with the method of meditation that I'm specifically trained with and practice and lands so well with me is called mindfulness meditation. It starts with mindfulness of the body.
Yeah.
Our bodies are always here. These bodies are not going anywhere until it's our expiration date. Our minds are all over the map. And now how can we bridge these two together? Yeah. And it's present moment awareness. We're purposefully paying attention to the moments that we're in without judgment, with curiosity. And ultimately, no matter what form and pathway of meditation people choose to practice, my teacher of John Kabat-Zinn, who's mindfulness-based stress reduction, he kind of created the whole entire mindfulness-based movement over, now it's been studied almost 50 years. But he codes meditation is it doesn't matter what pathways you go to travel through meditation. They all enter the same door. It's the door of your heart. Yeah. And that's all that this comes down to is how can I live less up here, the cerebral, always analyzing, always overthinking, be in my body, listen to the fact of what a true heart palpitation might actually represent. Is it an emotion? Is it something I need to go get checked out by the doctor? Or is it just a moment I just get to pause and be still and really get to listen to what that instinctual response that's always there when we don't automatically go to the habit, the loop of what we think we need to be doing, or just keep going and going.
Yeah, no, it's really, the awareness is so important. It's kind of the beginning for so many things. And so I love that we're spending that much time really dissecting it. But the next key element is attention. So let's move on to that piece. And if you can just explain that a little bit to the audience.
Yeah. And so with attention, just think of it of another word is where's your focus? What are you focusing on? In school as an educator, we tell students all the time, can you pay attention? Pay attention. I mean, have you ever been told, Christine, to pay attention, or have people say, pay attention to me, right? But we're not necessarily trained how to pay attention. I mean, think about it. All the years in school that kids stay, and even us as adults, our attention, it's asked of us all the time, but it's not really ever taught to us. Like, how do you do it? Like, how do you add? How do you go ride a bike? Well, there's a process. How do I pay attention to things when my mind is literally all over the place? And so I like to help people understand attention as it is a direct focus. There can be, as we kind of talked about a little bit earlier with awareness, there's a fixed awareness or a fixed focus. You've ever been immersed, us working adults, immersed in a task and you're so dead set focused and everything else around you just seems to disappear. That's attention. You're directing your attention in one specific place. And then there's the offset of that where you can also, as I gave the example of kind of like you're watching a movie and then that field of awareness opens, your attention can divert elsewhere. You can then hone your attention in on another aspect of your awareness. So I'm going in the dark and I have or you're up on stage and all of a sudden that spotlight is showing right directly down on you. That's a direct line of focus. The attention is there. You're honing in on a specific element, and that focus can expand or contract. Focus, Google Earth. You see the broad picture that meditation allows us to see sometimes, or we can focus our attention on something small, which we'll talk when we get into the mindset. Sometimes our attention is so pinpoint thin that we miss out on the bigger picture. We miss out on the things that actually bring us the most joy, because our attention is drawn to distraction is up on how, the social media, the IG, the chats, the texting.
Yeah.
That's where we lose ourselves.
Right. And I think it definitely is a practice to be able to almost, and correct me if I'm misspeaking here, because I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that we're giving good information. I'm giving good information here, but it almost is like you have to be able to focus on something that requires your attention, but also be able to expand your focus. It's almost like a lens. You have to like be able to go in and out. So there are times that require you to be so laser focused on something, like if you're a surgeon, really focusing on what you're doing. And also there are times where you're required to be thinking about more than one thing, such as if you're an athlete and and you have to have your mind in different places. So really it's not about always having that laser focused attention. It's about being able to move in and out of that with some kind of control. Does that make sense? Or
Absolutely.
is it? Yeah.
No, and that's just hearing it. I mean, this is you being able to process after hearing it. And that's true what learning is. We hear something and we're able to kind of digest it and make it our own. And your examples you just provided were great, because it's like you have the telescope, you're able to kind of see it up close. And with attention, and practicing, because meditation is a practice, you get to practice different types of where your attention is going. And that's where the science is so beautiful behind the studies of mindfulness and meditation specifically, is because they have brain studies that show, what happens when you have a very, very fixed focus. What parts of the brain are really lighting up? Is it more memory? Is it more deliberate thinking, or not deliberate thinking, but is it more of your control centers in terms of your mental flexibility? And then they also have, so that's our focused attention. Then we have our expanded, which is our open awareness. And then there also is another study that goes, tons of studies for love and kindness, accessing different parts of your brain that actually help you empathize and help you be kinder and help you kind of go to those soft spots that you might not think actually exist inside of you. But when you can have an ability to pay attention in a certain way, that's a certain way, is there's lots of other benefits that can come from that. So.
Yeah. That is amazing. I love that we're breaking this down really in small, digestible pieces. And finally, the last part, the last A, attitude. Let's talk about that one.
Sure. And I think attitude is, as briefly mentioned earlier, that is, and I'm trying to, move out of the light, because I'll slide over a little bit more this way. But attitude is, again, our relationship to how we're showing up to our lives. Attitude is all about, it is your mindset. And with meditation specifically, it's a gift that we get to give to ourselves. If I approach a situation in my mind that already is going to set myself up for failure, then what's most likely going to be my outcome? Through meditating, when you have your attitude, it's designed to be non-judgmental. Have you ever felt judged before? I know I have. And then on the flip, have I ever judged something or someone? Absolutely. We're human.
Yeah.
So it's just deconditioning ourselves to notice those attitudes and those set beliefs. So if I can approach this process that some people find so daunting, I can't do it, I don't have the time, we can make excuses right and left. I'm number one at that, don't get me wrong. But the moment that we can hone in a little bit more on a scale of what is it that I need, Is it less judgment? Is it to have this beginner's mind, allowing myself the process of beginning again? More gratitude, patience, developing this place of true, generosity and compassion. So there's ways that you can approach this shift, pivot, if you will, a conscious pivot by developing, a better, a better attitude. I mean, those of us that deal with children, man, I would just wish you'd shape up your attitude, get a better attitude on, and I remember being told that as a kid all the time because my attitude sucked. It was terrible. I was a terrible teen. My mom and dad, and thank goodness I grew out of it, but there was anger and frustration and all this stuff that we experienced. And it was a crappy attitude. I didn't know how to outgrow it. Mm. And I think a lot of us, even as adults, there's situations now and going to be in our future that keep us, our attitudes, keeping us held captive and stuck.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really, again, just the breaking it down to these 3 phases or 3 keys is really great. And so with the process of AAA, you're trying to really, not loop in those thoughts. And that's precisely what that mindset work is. So let's get into that a little bit. What is, how does it practically work? The AAA, how does it practically work when you're really trying to develop your mindset in a positive way?
Sure. Yeah. And so to use the method of awareness and attention and attitude, it comes down to, can we use 1 minute to actually have the experience of it? Christine, would that be okay for our audience?
Yeah, I would love that. Let's do it.
Yeah, because truly we can talk till our faces are blue, but it's an experience.
Yeah.
And for those of us watching at home, you're not alone. We're in this together, and it might feel, and that's the thing, people, there's like, oh gosh, who's watching me? My eyes closed. Oh, I'm going to get nervous. And we're human. And that's just, are you aware of that? That's awareness right there. So I'm just going to invite everybody to take a seat wherever they are. You can do this standing if you want to get cozy and comfortable for just a short, again, this is not going to go for long whatsoever, but just establish yourself in a posture as if you are getting greeted by someone that you truly care about, and just to embody that for yourself, because it's just you. And if you could feel comfortable, close your eyes. I'm going to close my eyes just to kind of let that awareness go a little bit more inward, even though we know there might be some things going on around us. And just take a few deep breaths. Doesn't have to be a specific way. Doesn't have to look like anything or feel like anything. We're just gently becoming aware of the fact that you're breathing. You don't have to control it. It's just automatically happening. The lungs inflating. Noticing here, becoming aware if there's any tension as you breathe, maybe around the shoulders, around the jaw, or perhaps even the eyes, maybe holding steady just to get still. And then see if you can bring your attention just to the very, very tip of your nose. If your eyes are closed, you can leave them closed, or if they're open, just keep a soft gaze. But what do you notice here? Can you perhaps feel the temperature of the air at the nostrils? You're noticing the inhale and the exhale. And just not judging it, just becoming a bit more aware of this in-breath. And with this attitude of just care, of nourishment, like, oh my goodness, thank goodness I'm getting oxygen freely. There's probably a lot of other people in the world right now that may not be having this opportunity. There might be tubes or other things giving them this fresh air. But just breathing here, and it's one thing you can be grateful for in this moment as you breathe. Just you and your body and your breath settling. And together, let's just take another slow breath in. And feeling that breath as you let it go. Whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and open up your eyes and just lift your gaze. And just check in. Just checking in. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that
it is interesting. I have attempted meditation before. I don't have a regular practice, but it is interesting when you come out of that process, whatever process you're using, it almost feels like you're lightweight or something. There's something different about when you come out of it.
We're awake.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was really great. So on mindset itself, so when you were doing that breathing exercise and kind of doing that moment of meditative practice, are you thinking of anything, or are you just like focusing on one thing, like you said, to focus on the tip of your nose? And if you do end up thinking of something else that you're not supposed to be, how do you come back? How do you bring yourself back?
That's it. You notice, you're aware that your thoughts went elsewhere. So you have a focus point. And for some, the breath is sometimes very accessible, but for some of us who have like high anxiety and struggle with that, the breath is very confronting. We're all chest breathers. We're all up here, but we can direct our awareness either to our belly. A lot of times with my students, I'll have them use a stone or something to hold on to. They're tactile. And so focusing your attention on something, but most importantly, the other is just your body sensation. And so feeling yourself, okay, what do you notice about your feet? What are your feet touching?
Yeah.
Like being in your body. What does it feel like? Does the clothes feel like touching against your skin? So helping people shift in that, once you get caught in that loop of my mind is somewhere else, that's where the science of the brain comes in, because that's now neuroplasticity. We get to change our brain. We can now catch it. My mind went elsewhere. Oh, I'm going to bring it back. Okay, just come back. We have to control anything. It's the awareness to be able to notice, oh, my mind shifted. I'm going to pause. I'm going to divert it. It's like a detour in the road. Oh, I got to go a different direction. Oh, I'm just going to bring it back. But my course is staying the same. I want to get to the same destination of sitting, of breathing, of being present.
Yeah, I'm going to ask might be an obvious question, but or the answer might be obvious to many, but not to me. And I'm just curious, why is it important to take that moment, or if it's 30 seconds or the 10 minutes a day or whatever you're going to dedicate to that? Why is it so important for us to be practicing bringing our mind, I don't want to say the word controlling because it doesn't have a positive connotation, but really training ourselves to bring our mind back to a single focus? Why is it important?
Think about our world, and just even in your personal world, and for our audience who are watching, thinking about your life is in terms of, is what you're doing right now helping you in any way, shape, or form support the life that you're trying to live? And with that ability to bring ourselves back and be present, that helps us just re-engage the things that we're missing. I think that we get so caught up in being fulfilled by things that are outside of ourselves, when in the end, everything we have and we get to know is already inside of us. And it might sound a little just woo-woo or out there, but sometimes we get so caught up on the external, how things look on the outside, not just from our appearance, but from the type of homes we have, the cars we drive. But in the end, are you fulfilled? Are you happy? Are you content? Is there meditation and mindfulness helps us see things as they are and relate to them in a different way, where we don't have to keep escaping and being pulled in 1,000 different directions. Because the moment that we can develop a skill for ourselves to be present, there's not only going to be more just in terms of emotions and feelings, but your health conditions improve. Insomnia starts to diminish. Psoriasis decreases. Heart disease lowers. Your food cravings diminish. Stress levels lower. Swollen joints and inflammation start to lessen. So the more that we can pay attention and divert it to a way that, and what am I doing right now supporting the life that I want to live? The moment that we can pause and take action of, like, is really spending 2 hours on social media just scrolling through stuff that I really don't even care about really helping me live the life I want to live right now? No, then what can be? And if I'm not sure of that, what can help me get clear? And so meditation is just one of those, again, of pathways to help us find some clarity. And in addition to whatever other kind of support we might want to be of having of, self-help books, or, going to a therapist, or getting outside and being in nature, gaining the support of others, like in this wonderful community that you've built, have a support system. So it's just another avenue to help us enhance sometimes the patterns that are very, very deconstructive. That's what pause, point, and pivot's about.
Yeah.
You get to notice it.
Yeah. And the reason I asked that question is because I started the top of the show saying that meditation can seem nebulous to many, although it is a growing practice right now. But the idea that your mind impacts your body, that psychosomatic connection, really clarified that, because there are benefits physically that you would see that are impacted by having a meditative practice, or taking that 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 10 minutes a day to really focus in on the inside and have a practice. So it brings me to mindset, which is, why we're mindset in terms of business mindset, personal mindset for growth and development. How can we improve a positive mindset, or develop a positive mindset? Say somebody is really fixated on something negative and they really need to change or shift that. How does meditating help with that? Or do you have any thoughts on that topic, or that issue?
Sure. Yeah. I think that it's very easy to get stuck in a negative mindset, especially for many of us as we go about our daily lives, when things feel very monotonous and there might be no end in sight, or there's some strain and financial burden. It's making kind of leaning into it, noticing, okay, feeling this way sucks, but we have to feel it. You got to feel to heal. So if I'm going to be negative Nancy running around, I'm probably going to lose a lot of friends. I'm probably not going to really like myself either. But again, it's a choice for me to have the awareness and ability to look at how I'm feeling. And with that, the negativity, I like to just call it kind of like that flip switch. What's the opposite? What do I want to feel? I'd rather feel happier and productive and abundant and like myself again. So what steps can I do? And one of the best gateways that I could recommend for anybody is gratitude. Gratitude. Yeah. It is. Yeah. And again, the science and the studies and research that go to back it's phenomenal that the moment, there was a recent study done at Davis with college students just thinking about something that made them grateful. It was time of midterms and finals and exams, and just thinking about something that they were grateful for, lower their stress response 33%. Just thinking about it, not actually doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the fixed mindsets that I've struggled with a lot is sometimes I put it in my head that I can't do something. I can't do it. I can't do it. And I have to really push through that thought. And it sometimes seems like an uphill battle, but is there a way to meditate on that would help?
Yeah. Again, you're saying I can't do it. Who's really? Meditation allows us to look a little bit deeper. I'm saying I can't do this. I'm holding myself captive. This is it's a feeling. It's a thought. Do I feel like that 24/7? Yeah. No. So it's that awareness, that developing of who you're saying that? Is somebody else saying that? Or is someone really are you at gunpoint and that's being held to you? No. Yeah. It's just a thought. Yeah. Can you detach from the fact that I can't do this? And oftentimes it's fear. Yeah. We're afraid. It's hard to start something new. It's hard to take a detour. It's hard to leave situations that you might think are good for you. In the end, they're really not. It's hard not to eat the next cookie, Jeez, that extra bite of cake. I tell you, that's, emotional eating 101. Yeah. But it's just like, okay, this is where I'm at right now, but maybe what if I try?
Yeah. So people who think that you have to dedicate, 20 minutes a day to meditation. Let's give the audience some tips on where can they start? If and is a smaller amount of time as beneficial at all for them?
Yeah, I truly believe that Jim Quick, he's a author and does a podcast as well as lots of stuff on mindset as well. But listen to his stuff, and this is from him. It says, "Inch by inch, it's a cinch. Yard by yard, it's way too hard." And so I am a firm believer in increments, small bite-sized doses. I mean, how to eat an elephant, one bite at a time. And to help people start their own meditation practices, start where you are. And I remember when I was first learning to meditate and learning the skills of just awareness and attitude and attention, it was actually on a task that I didn't necessarily enjoy doing. And I shared this with you previously. I was at Costco getting gas. For some reason, getting gas and waiting in line was just a headache for me. And I had thousands of other things to do. But that was kind of like my gas mindful, like what kind of fuel am I giving myself, if you will, looking at it. And so I'd pull up to the gas pump and get out of my car. And that starts how I started. That was kind of like my mindful moment of, I'm aware of the smells. Some people love gasoline. Some people hate it, but I'm aware of it. I'm inserting, listening to the sounds of what's going on around me, the conversations with other people. I close my eyes and I would just kind of feel sometimes the breeze or the sunshine. And I'm just getting gas. I'm not at a monastery. I'm not on a retreat. I'm not listening to an app. I'm just doing my everyday life.
Yeah.
And that is just one, and we'll get to, some action items for people to do, but that's just how a gateway. Start small. And the research goes to show that after, continuous 8 weeks continuous, it's kind of when that's a sticky point. That's when it generally sticks. But if we, what's realistic for you? Is it setting your microwave timer for 30 seconds and just noticing the fact that you're breathing for that day, that morning, you wake up before you turn on your phone? Yeah. Why can't that be enough for you right now?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's really good advice. I think that, like you said, inch by inch, it's a cinch. And so starting small and little bite sizes can really get you on track to, if you wanted to have a meditative practice, to really, get started with it not feeling so daunting or like a lot of work. And I love that you said that one of your first experiences was being at a gas station. You're not even sitting alone in a room or anything like that, but you're just, and that's part of the amazing thing about meditation. You could be in a space where there's a lot going on around you, but you're focusing right on in here. So I think that's really good advice. And we always wrap up our episodes, Christy, with the Waist Up Wardrobe Weekly Wrap Up. And what that is each guest gives us that takeaway, that main takeaway for the audience. If they take nothing else away today, what should they remember?
Yeah. And I'm just going to go back and, just truly capitalize on that AAA mechanism. You're more than the A's. I'm just going to keep adding to the abundance of it, but we're able. Yeah. Everyone is able in their own way to have access and then again, take action on that AAA method of awareness, of just, it's the process. If there's something that we don't like, generally want to fix it. We don't like to be uncomfortable. But I believe, I'm a firm believer in ability. We're all more able than we are disabled.
Absolutely. That is definitely my motto too. It's like we can do it. It's something that that you have to work on to believe so that you can achieve it. How about a couple of tips for people to get started on a meditative practice that can really help elevate that mindset?
Yeah. And I think that's really, really helps for people to have it stick. Like it's actually a sticky note that actually, it's like a push pin instead of just a sticky note that keeps falling. But start a routine base. I mean, we are creatures of habit, and creating a self-implemented routine that is going to help support you in any way, shape, or form that it looks like. If there is, for some people right now, Christine, there's not a quiet place in their house.
Yeah.
It honestly, for some, it might be in their car, the moment they pull into their garage. I do much of my meditating sitting in my car in my garage in the warm seat and not really wanting to go anywhere.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes,
yeah.
sometimes it's a closet, and sometimes it's, you know,
Totally.
you have to
Oh my
escape.
gosh.
Yeah.
The wardrobe, of
Yeah.
course. Like that's where I go do my audio recordings. I go and I sit in my closet. I have my little place, and but do that. Like, if you create a routine, that place, but show up to it. Like, if for people who really want to make a special place in their home, create that space. If you were getting ready to greet a friend, like, what do you want that to look like? Have it be comfortable, maybe a flower, or, just create it so it's welcoming.
Yeah.
It's a place of refuge.
Yeah. It's a sanctuary in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
discipline. So to answer your question, the tip is create a routine, and we're making it work for yourself. So any way you
Yes, exactly. And then tools. I know you've written a book,
can.
and I'd love to hear about that and any other tools that you can recommend.
Yeah. So the tools, I'm a co-author of a book. It's called Gratitude and Mindfulness Learning Journal. It's a workbook actually for social emotional development, which is a huge key token in education. But on my website, christycurtisyoga.com, I've offered a free audio download and a workbook sample of some pages for you to download for free, just to kind of take a glimpse, to kind of help hone in on the initial points of the practice. The workbook itself has over 60 different practices that are designed for, teacher and student or parent and child to do together. It's experiential. We talk quite a bit, Christine, about, the concepts, but it wasn't until we felt them, putting them all together to feel them together is where those practices come in. So that's just one tool or takeaway for people to have. And otherwise, there's wonderful apps out there from Calm, Insight Timer, Headspace. There's some wonderful meditation teachers, and I'll be definitely holding a workshop on meditation here in February, and I'll have more information on my website for that.
Awesome. So let's put Rick is, in the production room, and he's going to put your website in the comment box, and also the generous gift you're giving everybody, which is downloadable. Am I right? Are you
Correct.
giving that to the audience? Okay. So
yeah, there's an audio, and then there's also a workbook page.
Yeah. So to the audience members, if you insert, and anybody listening to this on replay, if you until the end of the day today, if you insert hashtag meditate and shine, you will get access to this downloadable that Christy's offering. And it's such a great start for anybody really to check out. And also your book. I would love to put that in the chat box so that people can actually check it out, a link to your book, because it sounds like it's just a collection of really great things to get started. If you don't know where to start, is that how you see it, or is that what it's?
There are many practices, and a lot of them involve, there's writing, there's reflection. It's the ability to just help yourself. Again, we broke it down to awareness, attention, and attitude, and cultivating these opportunities as real tools to help whenever you might need them.
Yeah. And finally, an action item or a couple action items that you think people, Christy, can put right into action. They don't have to do a lot of work to get there.
Yeah. I would suggest that I'm just going to use the concept of what you're building here, the wardrobe. When people are putting on that color, to make sure that they're present in that screen, when you're putting that blouse on, like, be there with it. Feel the texture of the clothing. Like, notice how that sense, it smell, touch it, the fabric. Be there with it. Whatever you're putting, from the lipstick or whatever it is that we're doing, whatever one thing you do every single day. Just one thing. What can you be with fully? Immerse yourself with it. Using your senses, using the awareness that I'm giving this my full attention. It might be petting your dog.
Yeah.
It could be holding the hand of your child, but be there fully. And the moment you notice you vacated, okay, I'm going to come back. But start with something you love to do.
Yeah.
What do you love to do every day that you do it?
Right. And multitasking has become our enemy, because, we think we can do all these things at the same time, but it's hard to really stay focused on every task that you're doing at the same time. So it is really important to stay focused on what you're doing. And that is what being present is. So this was an amazing conversation. It really feels like a Kickstarter to a great way to start a meditation practice. And your whole method of AAA, the awareness, attitude, and attention it's awareness, awareness, attention, and then attitude.
Just think the mindset. The mindset's the capsule at the end. That's the cornerstone.
That's what you get. Yes. So that, just keeping that in mind, can be a great focus for starting your practice. So thank you for breaking it down for us. Thank you for sharing your process, your method, and all the wisdom that you have. Thank you for taking us through a meditative journey, because that's, people sometimes say, well, I don't know how to do it and I can't do it. So being practical, that was brilliant. Thank you for doing that with us. And I really am so grateful that you are here today. If anybody, those who are interested in the downloadable, please enter hashtag meditate and shine. We will leave that opportunity open until the end of the show, if that's okay with you, Christy. And we'll look forward to seeing the whole Waist Up Wardrobe audience next week here in the Waist Up Wardrobe studio, where we are going to be continuing our mindset series, and we're just going to take a different perspective on it. And we will be welcoming everybody here. So remember, you can subscribe to us on iTunes. You can find us on YouTube. You can also find me on Facebook and at jadeforallseasons.com if you wanted to reach me for any questions regarding your virtual office or your wardrobe. But join us next week, same time, same place, and invite a friend, because we'll be talking more about mindset.